What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video on the West Ham Way YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about Ben Johnson. Now, we reported a lot in the summer that he was going to leave West Ham, that there was I believe there's a bid in from Southampton, and perhaps he would leave. And of course, that didn't happen, and he's still part of the squad. I don't believe he's got any real minutes this campaign. I think he's come on, had a couple substitute appearances, but obviously he's quite low down the pecking order at the moment. Soufal being number one. Probably Thilo Kehrer as well as our number two. I know he plays centre back, but he's probably our backup right back as it stands. So he's not happy. He's not happy with the way things are. And I thought it was more about the football. I thought it was more about the fact that he just can't break into the first team, and he wasn't very happy about that. But it turns out behind the scenes, X has reported, and a number of places reported that Ben Johnson is not happy with his wage. I've looked it up, and supposedly he's on about 20k a week at West Ham currently, and he's demanding a £40,000 pay increase. So essentially, the average wage in the Premier League is £60,000. Ben Johnson demands to be paid what he calls a Premier League wage, which is, makes sense. The average wage is £60,000. He wants to be paid a Premier League wage. You probably go for the average. So he wants a £40,000 increase in pay. Now, this is quite strange to me because essentially he's a rotational player. He's not playing week in, week out. So, when I think about wages, I think it's an investment. You want your club to invest in you. I'm not going to stay unless you invest in me and show me what I'm worth, right? So when he was playing week in, week out, he was on a £20,000 wage or whatever it was he was on. When he was in the academy, he was on a much lower wage. Right now, I don't know what chips he has to bargain with, to be honest with you. He hasn't played any minutes. It's kind of clear that he's out of Moyes' plans. When we have played him, he doesn't really look the player that he once was. We're not really sure if he is Premier League quality at the moment. So I'm not really sure. Like, obviously, when your contract's running out, that's when you can say, well, look, if you want me to sign a new contract, you're going to have to pay me an increase of this or whatever it is. Like, I get that. But I don't know what he's got to justify a 3 times increase in his contract, because he's not playing for us. So it would be just a horrendous investment on our part. £40,000 a week extra. I mean, that is a lot of money. That is a lot of money across a year. I think currently he's on about £1 million a year when you take into account the £20,000. So he would be on about £3 million a year, a £2 million increase from what he was previously on. And like I say, he has no chips to bargain with. Like, he's not playing for us. He's not playing well for us. It's clear that we don't really want to. I'd understand maybe if he said, give me a full. But he's obviously just said, look, the average wage in the Premier League is £60,000. I think that I'm an average Premier League player, so I should be paid £60,000. And I look at that and I think, okay, well, let's look at it from another angle. If I think about an average Premier League player, a player who is not that great, but, solid, a very average Premier League player, it's hard for me to actually think about what that would be. I would say James Tarkowski is an average Premier League player. He's been in the Premier League for quite a long time. He's done quite well there. Who else can I think of? I'll say Creswell. Creswell is an average Premier League player. Thinking about our squad, right? Creswell's an average Premier League player. Soufal, average Premier League player. Thomas Souček, I think across his whole career, is an average Premier League player. Harry Maguire, average. These are the sorts of names I'm trying to chuck out there. I can't really think of maybe anybody else, an average Premier League player. No, I think that's probably the sort of list I can come up with just off the top of my head. But I'm thinking of those as average Premier League players. Then I come across Ben Johnson's name and I think, is Ben Johnson, across his whole career, has he met what James Tarkowski have done, Harry Maguire, Soufal? Is he on the same level? Like Fabianski, for instance, that for me is an average Premier League player. Mikel Antonio, that for me is like an average Premier League player across his whole career. I don't put Ben Johnson in that bracket. I just don't. And I understand that there are people, he's probably sitting there thinking, well, I'm on 20k a week. There are people at this club like Danny Ings earning 125k a week, 150k a week, 180k a week, whatever Bowen's on, I think it's around 180, 200k a week. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, do you know what? If I can't, I'm so low down the pecking order, why can't I just be in line with the Premier League wage? I'm a Premier League player, so why can't I be in line with the Premier League wage? If you're not playing for the first team, you are not a Premier League player. It's as simple as that. If you're part of the West Ham squad in a European competition, but you don't play any minutes, you rarely play any minutes, you're not a European player. You might have the caps on your thing and you might have the medal from the Conference League, but you're not a European player, you know. The same way that there are some people, for instance, at Man City, like Oscar Bob or Rico Lewis, they'll play in the Champions League and they might do quite well, but they're not Champions League players. You know, they're not. They wouldn't start for most players in teams in the Champions League, and I don't think there's many teams right now in the Premier League that would take Ben Johnson. So that for me confirms that he's not really an average Premier League player. Therefore, why would he get an average Premier League player's wage like he's demanding? So I think pretty much with this situation, he wants £60,000. Good luck getting that the Championship, because to be honest, I feel like that's where he's headed. £20,000. I think 40,000 is more than fair, you know. But again, why would we give him a pay increase if you're not playing for us? Why would we pay you more to sit on the bench? It just doesn't make sense from our point of view. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can understand that he wants to be paid more, and you know, he probably, like I say, looks at other people earning more than him in the squad and thinks, well, I deserve that. But you know, that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Sometimes someone does well, gets in when it's good. You know, if Ben Johnson, when he was playing the football he was for us, came in and said, I want a wage of £6,000 because I'm going to be a future Premier League player, I'm going to start for your left back every week, I'd say that's fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. But why is he coming to us now when essentially he kind of wanted to leave in the summer, it looked like? He's not starting for us. Why would we splurge an extra £2 million a year, £40,000 a week for a player that we don't play? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So again, I'm not sure what chips he's trying to bargain with, because he literally has none. But yeah, it's definitely looking likely that he's going to be leaving in the summer, maybe even January. I think he'll probably get a move to, if Southampton don't get promoted, maybe like a Southampton. I could see maybe like a Luton or a Sheffield United, or maybe even a Burnley picking him up. I think he'll be very, you know, that stage of very low Premier League to maybe like mid-table, high championship. I don't know if he'll go abroad. He may well do, but you know, I could certainly see him getting a decent move. And I think for us, we'll probably get, I think around 5 to 10 million is probably quite fair for Ben Johnson. I mean, he's a young player. Like, we could probably get a lot more, but I think considering he wants to leave, and I can't imagine that we would be willing to, you know, come up anything, to be honest. I don't see why we should even pay him a penny more when, like I say, he's not playing for the club. I think there's, even if Soufal got injured, Kehrer would come in. Even if Emerson got injured, Creswell would come in. So he's third choice. He wouldn't play centre back because, you know, he's not done well there before. We've got Bonner again, Mavropanos, Zuma. You know, he's down the pecking order in a lot of positions. He's probably third choice for every defensive position, like every single defensive position. When you include left centre back, right back, and left back, he's third choice for all of them, it seems like. So I don't see why we would be willing to, you know, pay him an extra £40,000. I mean, like, if you went to your boss, right, you're working, you're not doing too well, like you're kind of just showing up for work, you know, your numbers ain't that great, and then you go to the boss, well, I want a pay increase. He's just going to say to you, well, why do you want a pay increase? Like, what reason have I got to invest in you to give you a pay increase? And you say, well, you know, I just think that other people at the company are earning this amount of money, so I think that I personally should earn that amount of money as well. That's an average of the company. You'd say, well, yeah, fair enough, but they've kind of earned that. That's just what their wage is. I'm not going to pay you more when your numbers are down, when you're not doing too well for us at the moment. Like, I'm just not. Like, what's the point in doing that? So I think it's a completely strange situation. And I will get the pretty much quote from X up just to finish up here. The quote that I got given was that the player actually wants to stay but wants a Premier League wage, and the club don't agree. At this stage, it's likely he's going in the summer. So, you know, Ben Johnson, like I say, looks like he's heading out, which is a shame because he's one of the few West Ham Academy prospects that have actually made it to the first team and been able to imprint. But I think, you know, we've invested in the fullback area. We need further investment. Unfortunately, Ben Johnson just isn't the player for our squad. And yeah, I can't see them caving in on the 60k demand. And I think Ben Johnson probably will think to himself, well, what is the point in me playing here when they don't value me as an average Premier League player? Well, I can go somewhere else and start for them and maybe earn 60k. So looks like it's going to be fit for all parties to, you know, cut their losses. Like I say, it's a shame. And I do thank Ben Johnson for his time at the club. But at this stage, it is looking incredibly likely, almost certain, that he will be leaving in the summer.